Okay, text 34.
यथा प्रकाशन्ते कृष्णं लोकम् इमं रवि चित्रं चित्री तथा कृष्णं प्रकाशति भारत. O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness.
This Atma, not contaminated by the qualities of the body, nourishes the body by its qualities. So the soul is not impacted by the qualities of the body, but the body is impacted by the quality of the soul. Just as the one sun illuminates the whole world with its light, so the jiva illuminates, gives consciousness to the whole body from head to foot by its consciousness. The author of Vedanta Sutra says, Guna va lokavat, as a flame pervades a room by its rays, the soul pervades the whole body by its quality. Philosophers have, especially Vedic philosophers, try to understand what is the relationship between the living entity and its consciousness. Here the example is given. Lord Krishna gives the example of the sun. There's only one sun. In every universe, there's only one sun. So like that, each Jivatma illuminates its own body. There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in the Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is there. As the sun is situated in the universe, but it's illuminating the whole universe. So a small particle of spirit soul, also situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. This consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the sun is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is a symptom of a living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme, because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the super soul, who is situated in all bodies, as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. Coming back to the same example, we find that in Vedic cosmology we have this information that every universe has its own sun. But the light from the sun of, say, universe X does not spread to universe Y. Separate is separate. So is it with the Jivatma. I've been signed out because somebody is signed in. Oh, the meeting is going on. Mataji, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, you are audible.
Yes. So what is this? Zoom allows multiple logins.
Current meeting was on. If you end this meeting, next meeting will not be able to start.
Huh?
If you end
Then
this
how is
meeting,
the next class?
you have to end this meeting, you'll have
How can another person solve? Anyway. Okay. X35. Yeah.
So the super soul within the soul. So that
Very interesting.
because that has never heard. In super level is perfect. Like divide.
Only one place is it. Only one place is it. Another any answer. We'll see that. One place is it. 8th chapter, I think. No running answer. What is the smaller than the smallest.
I think this
8.9. Page 370. You will see. Only one place is it. in the middle of the purple. He's smaller than the smallest. The living entity is 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair, but the Lord is so inconceivably small that he enters into the heart of this particle. Therefore, he is called smaller than the smallest.
Is there with the any speech when identity in spiritual world? So there like there is no Paramatma, it's not there.
There is no Upadrashta Anumanta and all.
But he there in the soul still like.
It looks like the Supreme Lord is not inside something that thing cannot exist. Not exist. Looks like that must be right. He's the eternal. He's eternally the soul of the souls. But it doesn't function like Paramatma. When we talk of Brahmati, Paramatmati, Bhagavaniti, in the sense of the localized representation, that Paramatma is Upadrashta Anumanta, is a witness, permitter. That obviously cannot exist in the kingdom of God. Okay, text 35.
क्षत्रक्षत्रज्ञयोर एवं अंतरं ज्ञान चक्षुषा भूत प्रकृति मोक्षं च ये विदुर्यान्ति ते परम्. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Concluding the content of this chapter, the Lord speaks of the results of such knowledge. Those who know the difference between the Jiva, the Lord, and the field of Prakriti, by eyes which see the differences, using the method discussed by me, and who know the process for liberation of the living entities from Prakriti, starting with Amanitva, go to that place which is beyond Prakriti, my supreme attractive abode, called the spiritual sky. Both the Jiva and the Lord are situated in the body. The Jiva, joined to the qualities of the body, is bound up, but is liberated by understanding of the Lord. This is the knowledge of the 13th chapter.
All the actions of material Prakriti are the field. Paramatma and the two types of jivas. Two types of jivas are conditioned jiva and the liberated jiva, are the knowers of the field. He who knows the difference between the field and knower of the field by the eye of knowledge, according to the system written in this chapter, and knows about liberation of all living entities from the tendency to be attached to Prakriti, easily knows Bhagavan, the supreme tattva among the field and knowers of the field, and easily attains the supreme tattva, the spiritual world beyond Prakriti, after discussing the 9 types of bhakti such as hearing and chanting. After taking shelter of the feet of a guru, the faithful person attains nishtha after destroying all his anarthas. Lack of distinction between what is spiritual and material is the main anartha among all of them. With the aim of giving instructions on knowledge which will destroy that anartha, the Lord describes the chapter while discussing knowledge of the kshetra and the knower of the kshetra composed of 24 items. The gross elements, ahankar, buddhi, avyakta, unmanifested, all the senses and the 5 sense objects, as well as desire, hatred, happiness, suffering, the combination, the function of the mind, seat of consciousness, and determination, which are transformations of the kshetra. Separate from this are 2 persons, the jiva, whose swarup is a conscious particle, suitable for the wealth of Brahman in the form of being my servant, and Paramatma, my all-pervading Amsha. So here Brahman refers to Jiva Brahman. These are the knowers of the Kshetra. The combination of the Kshetra and the Jiva, who is the knower of the Kshetra, is samsara, material existence. While seeing Paramatma, one destroys the anarthas which obstruct one from realizing one's soul through tattva-gyan, or knowledge of the relationship of the Kshetra with the knower of the Kshetra. This is tattva following the anga of smarana. In other words, in devotional service also, has to be aware of all of this. Prabhupada, can someone read out Prabhupada?
The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, and the super soul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verse 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instruction, teaches his student to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, you find Krishna instructing Arjun to free him from the materialistic consideration. One can understand that body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptom of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is a soul, and there is also the super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as the combination of the soul and the material elements. One can also see the situation of the supreme soul become eligible to transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master.
We come to chapter 14. The three modes of nature. Gunatrayo, Bhagayo. Okay, text one.
Sri Bhagavan Bhagavan Param Bhuya Bhavashya Jnanam Jnanam Yad Gyatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." The 14th chapter explains that the gunas are a cause of bondage, that they give three results, and that they are destroyed by devotion to me. Having examined and drawn conclusions about the nature of the jivas and prakritis which are mixed together, one should become liberated from the bondage of prakriti by becoming endowed with certain qualities, such as pridelessness. The cause of bondage is the association with the gunas. This was explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.22. Karanam guna sango asya sad asad yoni janmasu. What are those gunas? How does the association with one of the gunas takes place? What is the result of the association with the guna? What are the characteristics of a person associated with a guna? How does one become freed from the gunas? With these questions in mind, the Lord praises in two verses the topics he will be explaining to induce a taste for Atma. Again, I will speak for more knowledge. Again, I will speak more knowledge, which is different from the knowledge just spoken. This knowledge concerns the gunas and is included in knowledge of Prakriti and the Jiva. It is the best among all topics of knowledge concerning the Jiva and Prakriti. It is similar to fresh butter extracted from yogurt. Realizing this, all sages, those dedicated to contemplation, attained the perfection of true understanding of the Atma in this world. Or another meaning is this: the process by which one gains knowledge that I previously spoke, I will describe again in a different way. Among the process of attaining knowledge, such as austerity, this is the most excellent, Param Uttamam, because it contains all other practices. Knowing this, all the sages attain the supreme goal of liberation, Param Siddhim, from this world.
Three modes of material nature is very, very important. Not only we find in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and so on. It appears even in Manusamhita. Even in Manusmriti it comes. I was quite surprised because Manusmriti is just Karma Shastra. Just, of course, it talks about Jnana also. But still, predominantly it's talking Karma. But even there's a discussion about 3 modes. Comes there. The Lord said from the 7th to 12th chapters, I spoke all about the Supreme Tattva. I will again speak how by knowledge one can attain the highest knowledge of Bhagavan. Understanding this knowledge, sages like Sanaka and others were fixed in Jnana, attained the supreme type of bhakti. Prabhupada?
Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead. Now, the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attain perfection and transfer to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge, thus far explained, and knowing this, many attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection.
The idea behind this, now Krishna will begin a whole series of discussions about different aspects of material nature. The idea behind this will be noted much later on. That we should organize our life in such a manner that we keep away from those aspects of material nature which increase tamoguna and rajoguna inside the body. So which means there are many things we need to deal with. We cannot practice transcendence. We cannot get out of material existence while we are also captivated by certain aspects of material nature. The mode of goodness is, you can say, neutral at least, if not favorable, is somewhat at least favorable. By itself, that is also binding, you will see that. But please, it does not disturb one in his attempt to become transcendental. The mode of goodness is accepted by Jnanis, Yogis, and Bhaktas as being favorable in their respective practices. Okay. Text 2.
इदं ज्ञानमुपाश्रित्य मम साधर्म्यमागतः सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते प्रलये न व्यथन्ति च. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution.
Attaining this knowledge which I will describe through service to Guru, people have attained similarity to the Lord of all, who eternally manifests equality. See, there's a distinction. Even though there are the 8 great qualities, the Supreme Personality of Godhead eternally manifests, whereas the Jivatma does not eternally manifest. He turns away from the Supreme Lord, and the 8 qualities are hidden, concealed. And when he serves the Supreme Lord, then the 8 qualities are revealed. So in other words, this version of his experience of the 8 qualities is conditional, whereas Krishna's possessing the 8 qualities is not conditional. Unconditionally manifests 8 qualities. So these liberated souls, they manifest the 8 great qualities through practice. These persons are not subject to the karma of taking birth or dying. This means that devoid of birth and death, they are liberated. The Lord states that many have attained this liberation. Thus, this verse supports the idea that in liberation there are many jivas. This is also understood from the Shrutis, which say, Tad Vishnoh Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayaha. The devotees, plural case, always see the supreme form of Vishnu. So, if there is only one jiva, then after liberation, how can there be many who always see the supreme form of Vishnu after liberation? Okay. Bhaktivinoda.
Knowledge is generally endowed with gunas. Knowledge beyond the gunas, nirguna, is called the highest knowledge. When the jiva takes shelter of this nirguna knowledge, he attains similarity, sadharma, to me. That is, he becomes endowed with my 8 eternal qualities. People with material intelligence think that if one rejects material qualities, material form and material situations, the jiva becomes devoid of qualities, form and situations. They do not know that just as in the material world there is difference among objects by qualities called Vishesh. So surpassing the material world in my Vaikuntha, there is pure Vishesh. By that Vishesh, spiritual qualities, spiritual form and the spiritual conditions are established eternally. That is called by Nirguna Sadharma. Surpassing the Saguna world by Nirguna knowledge, one attains Nirguna Brahman. After that attainment arises spiritual quality. And that happens at the time of creation. That jiva does not take birth in the material world, and at the time of destruction does not experience the pain of having itself destroyed.
After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the 3 modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the 3 modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as a supreme person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world, there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities. The spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated. And there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. So this verse is often quoted by the Acharyas as evidence that even after final liberation, the living entities exist in their individualities, in plural, many, and that becoming liberated simply means one attains sadharmya. Notice this word, sadharmyam. Sadharmyam comes from the word sadharma. Sadharma becomes sadharmya. It means same nature. One attains the same nature as the Supreme Lord. All right, text 3.
मम योनिर् महद् ब्रह्म तस्मिन् गर्भं दधाम्यहं संभवा सर्वभूतानां ततो भवति भारत. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata.
Having thus praised the topic to be spoken and producing a taste for that in the hearer, the Lord makes it clear in his words that the Lord is the cause of the combination of Prakriti and Jiva. So far, Krishna only presented that there is Ishvara, that's Prakriti, that's Jiva. But now he's pointing out that the Ishvara himself is the cause behind this mix-up of Prakriti and Jiva. That Ishvara is Krishna. This combination was previously described in 2 verses, starting with Bhumirapo Narovai and in Yavat Sanjayate Kinchit Tattvam Avara Jandavam. The cause of the whole world is the Pradhana, composed of the gunas. This Pradhana is the womb. That means the place which holds the seed. It belongs to me, the Lord of all, the creator of millions of universes. The word Brahma here means Pradhana. Notice this word Brahma here. Mama Yonir Mahat Brahma. Brahma means supreme. It means the greatest. Brahman literally means the greatest. Brihattama Vastu is called Brahma. So Pradhana is also the greatest. I mean, that adjective is used, greatest is used to describe Pradhana also. Brahma Nama Rupam Mannam Cha Jayate. This Brahman becomes name, form, and food in that great Pradhana, functioning as a womb. In that great Pradhana, which functions as a womb, I place the multitude of small particles of consciousness. What was called dull Prakriti, with the words Bhumirapo Nalovaya, described as earth, water, and other elements, is here called Mahad Brahma. What was called conscious Prakriti, with the words Itastvanya, is here called the Garbha or embryo, since it is the seed of all living entities. So all living entities put together, Krishna injects it into Prakriti. The meaning here is that I join together the conscious enjoying entities with the material entity which serves as the field for their enjoyment. From this Pradhana, or from the combination of the 2 Prakriti, or from the offering into the Pradhana of the Jivas, the birth of all entities from Brahma down to grass takes place. Krishna is the one who causes them to unite. It is not like how the Sankhya philosophers imagine. The Prakriti and Purusha, they are just always attracted to each other naturally. Not like that. It is Krishna who actually makes that happen. He's the one who makes that happen. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajya, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God himself. Because naturally it is not possible. They are of completely different nature. The spirit soul is conscious. Matter is unconscious. How can both of them be put together? They are put together only by the Supreme Lord's will. Otherwise, there's no possibility of them coming in contact. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation, and that total substance of the material cause, in which there are 3 modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. Notice this expression, possible, possible. If you look at the original Sanskrit, you will see this word, Sambhava. Sambhava sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. Sambhava. Sambhava means possibility. Making possible the births of all living beings. This total material substance, the Mahat Tattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature. Tasmad etat brahmanama rupamannam cha jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. The 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahat Brahma, or the great Brahman, the material nature. As described in the 7th chapter, beyond this, there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past actions, has a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in this material. Now here, we go back. Mama Yone. Yoni. Yoni means source of birth. So Mama Yoni can give the impression that this Mahat Brahma or this Mahat Tattva is the source of Krishna's birth, but that is not what it means. What it means, because Yoni means the source of birth in the sense of a wife. Madhvacharya explains the word Yoni can mean wife. In this context, that's what it means. The Supreme Lord, the Lord's potency. On the spiritual platform, you have Lord Vishnu and Shri or Lakshmi, father and mother. On the material platform, Lord Shiva and Parvati. Parvati is directly responsible for material nature, and Lord Shiva is her control. In that way, the father and mother of all of material existence. Okay, next one.
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय उत्तेय संभवन्ति यः तेषां ब्रह्म योनिरहं बीज प्रतापितः. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father.
Again, notice the word possible. In the original Sanskrit, Sambhavanti. They appear. They appear means I make it possible for them to appear. They are made possible to appear. I make sure that it becomes possible for them. O son of Kunti, of all the bodies that appear within the wombs of the creatures, from the devatas to non-moving beings, the pradhana is the cause of their appearance. It is the mother, I, the Supreme Lord, and the Father who gives it you. I supply the heap of small conscious particles according to their karmas. Now, according to their karma, that's another thing. According to their karma. Bhaktivinoda, the main principle of material prakriti is the womb of the universe. I impregnate that Brahma, the womb of the universe called prakriti or Dharma. From that, all the beings arise. I place human in the form of the jivas, endowed with the tattva into prakriti. Brahman, the material extension of my spiritual prakriti. From this, all beings such as Brahma are born. That womb in the form of Brahman is the mother of all the forms manifested in wombs of devatas, animals, and others. And I, the causal form of consciousness, and the seed-giving father of all of them. Several times Prabhupada quotes this verse. Aham bija pravartita, and the seed-giving father and the seed-giving father. Can someone read out the purport?
In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the original father of all living entities. The living entities are a combination of the material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet but on every planet, even the highest where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. Within the earth there are living entities. Even within water and within fire, all these appearances are due to Mother, material nature, and Krishna's seed-giving process. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds.
Okay, now why is Krishna talking about all these things? He said he's going to talk about he said he's going to give the best of knowledge. And then he's talking about all these things. He has in his mind discussion of three modes of material nature. So why is he talking about all this? Where it begins. From where it begins, we need to understand how it comes out. How it comes out. In the modern world, they don't understand that the Supreme Godhead is the Father. Throughout the world, they have the basic idea that nature is some kind of mother. Mother nature is a common expression. But they somehow don't think about they only think about Mother Nature. They don't think about Father. Prabhupada often says that God is male. God is male. Krishna is male. Only the Pita, Father. In that case, we should understand that the Lord's internal potency is the mother. Okay. Text number 5.
Satam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibhatnanti mahabaho dehi dehi namayayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by this mode. In 4 verses, the Lord describes the gunas, how the jiva becomes related to the gunas, or how they bind with him. The gunas known as sattva, rajas, and tamas arise from prakriti. They bind up the indestructible jiva, who is actually without change, avyayam, who becomes situated in a body made from the gunas. They bind him with the quality of illusory happiness and distress, which are accepted by the jiva without understanding their true nature.
The gunas of sattva, rajas, and tamas arise from prakriti, which produces the universe. From tatastha prakriti. So prakriti means shakti. So then you have internal prakriti, marginal prakriti, external prakriti. Tatastha prakriti refers to marginal prakriti. From tatastha prakriti, all the jivas are born into the womb of the material prakriti. The three gunas bind the jivas who are conscious and swarup and indestructible, and who are the possessors of bodies. The living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with his material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under the spell of the three modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of the different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of the varieties of happiness in business. So they are induced to act. So this is the three modes of material nature function. What these three modes of nature are doing, all that they're doing is they're impelling the jivatma to do different things. It is, you can say, it's like even now, Google is doing this advertisements, no? It studies us. Actually, Google understands us better than almost anyone else, because Google keeps track of everything that we do, all the emails. So the advertisements that are provided are targeted advertisements, having understood what we want, what we don't want. Based on that only we get advertisements. Ultimately, Prakriti is the ultimate Google. Carefully keeping track of everything that we want, what we don't want. And she is ensuring that corresponding to our karma and our vasana, our material propensities, we are given particular things. Now that's where the three modes of material nature come into play. It induces. In other words, this world is not really as free as we imagine it is. Constantly we are being pulled and pushed in so many different directions psychologically. Whereas in the spiritual world, we don't have this headache of the three modes. You can be in the spiritual world, there's no advertisement going on. No, they come, this is good. Actually, the modes of material nature are very terrible. Has an effect, even colors, different colors. There are certain colors which induce sattva, certain colors which induce rajoguna, certain colors which induce tamoguna. There is one devotees, another social scientist. He has done a complete survey based on the three modes of material nature. And he has proven that if you chant Hare Krishna, the mode of goodness increases. What he did was he did experiments to prove it also. He took a control group of people. What is his name? The author conducted a three-group study on the effects of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on stress, depression, and the three modes of nature. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, described in the Vedas as the basis for human psychology. 62 subjects, self-selected through newspaper advertisement in a southeastern university town in America, completed the study. Average age was 24.63 years, with 31 males and 31 females participating. Stress was measured according to standard methods. And the modes of nature or gunas were measured with the Vedic personality inventory. Subjects were tested at pre-test, post-test, and follow-up with testing times separated by 4 weeks. Participants were randomly assigned to a Mahamantra group, that was one group, an alternate mantra group, and a control group. Subjects in each of the chanting groups chanted their mantra approximately 25 minutes each day. The researcher concocted a mantra as the alternate mantra. Those subjects in the alternate group thought it was a genuine Vedic mantra. Primary hypotheses of the study were based on Vedic theory and stated that the Mahamantra group would increase sattva and decrease stress, depression, rajas, and tamas significantly more than the other two groups. The author suggests that the Mahamantra has potential for utilization in clinical areas similar to those where other interventions of Eastern origin have been successful, such as treatment of stress, depression, and addiction. Further, it is recommended that the Mahamantra be integrated into a spiritual approach to client care in social work and related fields. His supervisor was a person who never believed in the chanting and all that. So first of all, he had to convince the supervisor that this is valid. He convinced him. Anyway, 100-page document. Anybody can look at it. He has made one survey form. Anyone can fill up to understand what percentage of Sattva he has, what percentage of Rajoguna he has, what percentage of Tamoguna. Very useful to do this test and keep checking up over the years whether your Sattva increases or not. It's a very interesting survey. I did it for myself and few of my friends. And we get it from you. Yeah, it's quite good. Maybe I should just get a printout and give it to all of you. Because self-check, it's not for public. May not be, maybe, doesn't matter. It's not part of this con, but and all that. Good here. It's taking forever. It's not. I don't remember. Right. Yeah, we do it all hi-fi. And I can find out. Very interesting. Also in Srimad Bhagavatam, extensively this is discussed. Show you that. More than here. Actually, Bhagavad Gita is a very good introduction to Bhagavatam. Because everything that comes in Bhagavad Gita comes in Bhagavatam and with a lot more additional information. Three modes of nature and beyond. We'll look at this a little later. This one I can see. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Gunanam Samishranam, Puman Yena Yatha Bhave. Tanne Purusha Vari Yedo Upadharayas Shamsatha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O best among men, please listen as I describe to you how the living entity attains a particular nature by association with individual material modes. The word asammishra indicates that which is not mixed with anything else. Lord Krishna now explains how each of the three material modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, acting separately, causes a conditioned soul to manifest a particular type of existence. The living entity is ultimately transcendental to the modes of nature, being part and parcel of Lord Krishna. But in conditioned life, he manifests material qualities. This is described in the following verse. Anyway, right now let's get back to this. It is quite interesting. Okay, next verse. Yeah.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena cha nagha. O sinless one, the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. The Lord describes in 3 verses the characteristics of the 3 modes and their different ways of binding the jiva. Of the 3, sattva produces knowledge and happiness, which is contrary to suffering, arising from the purity of sattva. Since it is said here that sattva produces illumination and happiness, sattva, which is conjoined with its effect of knowledge and happiness, binds the jiva with the conception that he is happy or knowledgeable. It should be understood that knowledge means knowledge of the real nature of a material object, and happiness means tranquility of the senses and body. In association with those qualities of knowledge and happiness, engagement in actions for attaining that happiness and knowledge produces future bodies, which are a means to experience that result. Since one will repeatedly take association with those qualities, one will not get liberation through sattva.
Sattva relatively pure, produces knowledge, and is devoid of sin. Sattva binds the conscious jiva by attachment to knowledge and happiness. The living entity is conditioned by material nature or of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. Happy. Sattva-guna, very active. Rajoguna, helpless. Tamoguna. So that means here this happiness is not actually based on activity. This is internal happiness. Very active means always endeavoring, as we will see that soon. And helpless. Oh, what to do? Nobody is there to help me. All that depressed, rejected. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status in nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. In the mode of goodness, knowledge is very, very important. Knowledge. What are material knowledge? But knowledge. Knowledge is valued in the mode of goodness. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reaction. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientist and the philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge. And because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they're attracted toward working in the mode of goodness. And as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the mode of nature. Thus, there's no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet. Repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant. Now, those who are actually in the mode of goodness, they accept Vedic authority, and beyond that, they are anchoring for liberation. But since there are mixtures everywhere, even among those who don't have, those who have not accepted Vedic authority, even though they're in Tamoguna, within Tamoguna also there is Tamas, Sattva, Tamas, Rajas, and Tamas. There's one of the followers of Madhvacharya, he worked out a 4-level Sattva, 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 Sattva. That is Brahma. Sattva, 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 Rajas. Like that, Sattva, 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 Tamas. All the way up to Tamas, Tamas, Tamas. Out different species of life. So repeatedly one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant. So Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan has noted, Tattvat na vimuktihi. Through Sattva-guna you don't get liberated. Then he comes to Rajoguna, which is very familiar for us. Sattva-guna is very familiar by its almost absence. It is almost not there. We don't see proper Sattva-guna. But Rajoguna, pure Rajoguna, even pure Rajoguna we see it many times. Okay, text 7.
रजोरागात्मकं विद्धि कृष्णा संग समुद्भवन् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्म संगेन देहिनम्. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Rajas is said to be identical, Atmakam, with the mutual affection between men and women, Raga, since that affection is both the cause and effect of increased Rajas. Moreover, Rajas gives rise to the desired persons of Krishna, such as sound and the desire for association, sangha, with sons, friends, and other people. Since it is said here that Rajas is the cause of attraction between men and women, the desire for sense objects and the desire for association of other persons, this Rajas binds the jiva, Vejina, by desires to perform actions, karma, for attaining women, sense objects, and other persons. It does activities with a desire for these things. These actions enable him to attain the objects, which are means for enjoying the results of his action. He repeats these actions and receives similar results. Thus, he is not liberated from Rajas.
So in both in Sattva and Rajoguna, one accepts Vedic authority. But in Sattva one is hankering for moksha, whereas in Rajoguna, one is hankering for Trivarga, hankering for dharma, the kama. I'll get back to this. Note that Rajas has the quality of desire born from attachment and love. Ukamteya, Rajoguna binds the jiva by attachment to attraction. The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Heterosexual attraction is Rajasic. Homosexual attraction or attraction between a man and an animal and so on, this is all tamasic. Woman has attraction for man and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops a hankering for material enjoyment. So in the mode of passion, Rajoguna, enjoyment or fulfillment of desires is considered very important. In Sattva-guna, knowledge is very important. But in Rajoguna, it is his enjoyment which is very important. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. Look at the original verse. Krishna Sangha Samudbhavam. Look at this word. Krishna Sangha Samudbhavam. Krishna with hankering. Sangha, association. Samudbhavam, produced of. So this mode of passion is produced of two things. One is a hankering. Hankering, as Sri Baladev Devotion describes, hankering means hankering for sound, touch, form, taste, smell. One has a hankering for enjoying sense objects. One is also, it is also produced out of Sangha, association. And in this context, it actually means emotional association. One wants to have sons, friends, and other people. Emotional. So it's not just sense objects, robotics and things. He also wants emotional relationships. So these two things, they make up the effect of Rajoguna. One is the desire for sense objects, that is there. Another is also emotional. So you have both emotional desires and you have sensual desires. You want to fulfill your sensual urges, you also want to fulfill your emotional urges. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Love is expensive. Love in all the five rasas is expensive. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work to bring money. Taka chai, mast gele, taka chai. All the laborers are singing in the cinema song. You need money, need money, need money. If you want to survive, you need money. Without money, there's nothing. Money is also the oxygen for women. So money is needed. Without that, you cannot enjoy. Man becomes very lovable when he is wealthy. A woman is very lovable when she is beautiful. Rajoguna. Actually, in India, it is axiomatic truth that in family life, you are supposed to work hard like a donkey. Work very hard. Only then you are considered to be a reasonable family. Otherwise, it's an inert fellow, unfit for family life. It's just openly admitted. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. This is also understood from in Bhagavatam also Prabhupada sheds more light on this. The very act of creation is an act of passion. Creation is rebellion. Destruction is permissive. Maintenance is subtle. So it is very easy to destroy things. To create things is more difficult. To maintain things is unbearable almost. There are some who are like Brahma avatars. They go on creating new things. They like to create new things in life. Create some new project, create some, build a new house, build something new. And there are some others, not some, many others, who like to break down things, who like to destroy things, who like to bring it to the point zero. Very few people will be inclined to maintain. You give them a building and tell them you simply have to maintain it. It's a very, very boring activity for most people because it is so routine. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. Once you are situated in a particular mode, you have a particular value and you evaluate the rest of the world in terms of that value. If you are situated in the mode of goodness, you are looking at Jnana, Vairagya, who has that to what degree. And based on that, you say, this is first class, second class. If you are in Rajoguna, then you are calculating in terms of sensual enjoyment. So then you have some other calculation, okay, he is first class, second class. Different criteria on what is successful. In the mode of goodness, they have a different understanding of who is successful, who is a failure. In Rajoguna, they have another understanding of who is successful, who is a failure. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion? Text 8.
तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिस्तन्निबध्नाति भारत. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul.
The word tu indicates distinct difference of this guna, particularly from the first one. Tu means but. Tu means but. In other words, Satoguna and Rajoguna belong to one category. Tamoguna alone belongs to another category. That is because in Satoguna and Rajoguna, you accept Vedic authority. It is in Rajoguna, in Tamoguna, where stupidity is. You don't even value knowledge. You don't value knowledge. You don't even value long-term material enjoyment. In Rajoguna, they want to enjoy. But it is all well-planned enjoyment. Reasonable, sustainable, well-planned enjoyment. It's not just some enjoyment, I'll enjoy for one day and suffer for 20 days. Not like that. They would in fact, in Rajoguna, they would first of all accept distress in order to later accept happiness, provided the ratio is good. You get a 1:25, that is good. You suffer one day and you enjoy 25 days. This kind of thing. So in mode of, properly speaking, in the mode of passion, they would think like this. How to enjoy in such a manner that it is long-term sustainable enjoyment. But in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance, they don't even think like that. Of course, if you look at within Tamoguna, there is also Rajoguna. It's all mixed up. So that group that Tamas Rajas and Tamas, that's a distinction there also. There is Tamas Sattva also. Within Tamoguna also there is some Sattva. There are some people who have some Sattva. We're seeing that. Knowledge means understanding the nature of objects as they are. Ignorance is a part of Prakriti, and its main nature is to oppose and cover that knowledge. Tamoguna is produced from that ignorance and thus produces opposite knowledge for all souls. Since it is said here that Tamas covers true knowledge of things and produces opposite knowledge, Tamas binds the jiva by its effects, carelessness, laziness, and sleep. Pramada means the careless tendency to perform actions which should not be done, and is opposed to illumination or knowledge, which is the effect of sattva. Laziness or lack of enthusiasm is opposed to action, the effect of rajas. Sleep, faintness of consciousness, is opposed to both rajas and sattva. In other words, Tamoguna has all features that are opposed to Sattva-guna and Rajoguna. Know that Tamas is the guna born of ignorance and bewilders all jivas who possess a body. Tamoguna binds the jiva by inattention, laziness, and sleep. In this verse, the specific application of the word tu is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what. But the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of the mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yathatmya jnana varakam vipariti jnana janakam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. And he is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In proper Rajoguna, they engage in chasing for Trivarga. They don't just chase for Kama or even Arthakama. They are chasing Dharma plus Artha plus Kama, because they know that the Punya is going to continue in the next life. It is the only currency that you can transfer life after life. So they want Arthakama, provided Arthakama doesn't prevent them from earning Punya. It's just like in the modern world, people accept Kama if it does not disturb their Artha. If it disturbs their Artha, they will not accept. Because Artha can lead to enhanced Kama later on. Same principle is extended further. Ultimately, they want Dharma, but they don't have the patience to wait for one full lifetime. So they accept Dharma plus Artha plus Kama. So they will accept Kama which doesn't disturb Artha. And they will accept the Artha which doesn't disturb their Dharma. Attainment of piety, Punya. But in Tamoguna, nothing. They don't care for all this. Only one life. They're living in their one life imagination. In their madness, they're very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they're invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They're not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient. But a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance. The mode of ignorance is a mode of imagination. Overall, in today's world, they very much appreciate being in ignorance, in imagination. I have my reality, you have your reality, he has this reality. I just don't understand what happens when they go to a shop to buy something. I have my reality. In my reality, how much money do I have? And I'm buying a product. If everybody has his own reality, how can you even purchase a product? Completely crazy. That, in Canada, a girl can claim to be male because I want to think that I'm male. And in that case, you cannot refer to me as she if I dislike it, because you have to use my preferred pronoun. I prefer that I be referred to as he, him. So, and if a boy prefers to be considered a female, then you have to address him as, you have to refer to him as her. This is all tamoguna, complete. What is this? Why don't you come and touch the reality? What are you supposed to do? So if I'm 5 feet tall and I imagine I'm 15 feet tall, everybody should start referring me to be 15 feet tall. Then if I get sick and I'm unconscious, and when I'm admitted in the hospital, what do people say? The doctor has to write a report. So what they are supposed to say? Preferred description, preferred self-description. So stupid tamoguna this is. You cannot even accept simple reality. No, but it hurts me. Feelings are more important than. At least in Rajoguna, they don't think, they're not so stupid. They want to enjoy, but at least enjoy on the basis of some knowledge. This is outrageous. Always addicted to intoxicants, sleeping. Nowadays, there are many more things than this. Simply watching Netflix, Facebook at least, okay, you can say they're coming in contact with some video games, completely fictional characters, movies. People are so happy to be living in a delusion. They know it is false also, and they also sometimes say, but the real life is very boring. So we would prefer to be in some shared imagination, like a movie, it's a shared imagination. A director comes up with something, his imagination, which he's sharing with everyone, and everybody happily goes and pays money in order to forget reality. They're just there. At least in the Vedic system, you want to dance with girls, you do pious activities and you go and dance with the Apsara. No, here they'll watch. Complete craziness. If you're hungry, you do something and you get food and you eat. You're simply watching someone else eat. What is it? Pornography, stupidity. It's stupidity. You want to say you're watching someone engage in it. Why don't you do pious activities? Go to the heavenly world. And you want to take long sex with them. Go. Enjoy. It's all okay. Legal, not illegal. No, that they will not do. So much hard work, pious activities. Don't believe, don't understand. Tamoguna is a headache. Okay, text 9.
सत्वं सुखे संजायति रजः कर्माणि भारत ज्ञानामृत तु तमः प्रमादे संजयत्यत.
When one, okay, read it.
Ocean of Bharata, a mode of goodness condition one to happiness, passion condition one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness.
When one guna becomes prominent, it spreads its effects. This is explained in 2 verses. When sattva is prominent, it attaches the jiva to happiness, its effect. When rajas is strong, it attaches the jiva to actions. When karma, the actual word is karma, you see, rajas karmani, refers to fruitive activity, Vedic dharma, prescribed actions. When tamas is strong, it attaches the jiva to carelessness or error. After having covered knowledge or reducing ignorance. A person in the mode of goodness is satisfied by his work or intellectual pursuit. Just as a philosopher, scientist, or educator may be engaged in a particular field of knowledge and may be satisfied in that way. A man, mode of passion, may be engaged in fruitive activity. He owns as much as he can and spends for good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, to give to charity institutions, etc. These are signs of one in the mode of passion. So this whole punya, desire to do good to others and so on. Passion. And the mode of ignorance covers knowledge. The mode of ignorance, whatever one does is good neither for him nor for anyone. Within communities which are completely ignorant, they cannot distinguish between passion and goodness, and they really find it very difficult to distinguish goodness from pure goodness. So for them, even Rajoguna is spiritual. In today's world, actually, people are so selfish. If you are even materially selfless, they think you are a great spiritual. But being materially selfless is not spiritual. It's one level higher. Spiritual comes into play when you bring in spiritual realization, when you understand the value of liberation. Then that is mode of goodness or higher. So in the mode of passion, this is what one tries to do. He tries to do material good to others. Because he understands the system. If you do material good to others, then in your next life, you will be greatly rewarded. Therefore, one does that. Okay, text 10.
रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय सत्वं भवति भारत रजसत्वं तमश्चैव तमसत्वं रजस्तथा. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharat, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy.
But the three modes are actually equal. How can one of them suddenly become prominent? The nature of the gunas is that they appear and disappear according to the operation or absorption of old karma. So, according to one's karmic reactions are coming like a queue, one after another after another. So, according to the karmic reactions, particular modes of nature will become prominent in my mind, in my subtle body. That is why on some days we have some sattvic days, some rajasic days, some tamasic days. So some days, the whole day is just tamasic. You just wake up without doing anything, you're just tamasic. That's all. Another day you wake up, you're in the mode of passion. It is not even caused due to some dream. Just happen. That is because of the karma cue that is coming. Sattva becomes prominent with the disappearance of rajas and tamas. Rajas becomes prominent with the disappearance of sattva and tamas. Tamas becomes prominent with the disappearance of sattva and rajas. When one of them becomes strong and the others are weak, then it produces its particular effects which were previously described. When Sattva-guna becomes strong, Rajas and Tamas are defeated. When Rajoguna is strong, Sattva and Tamas are defeated. When Tamoguna is strong, Sattva and Rajas are defeated. In this way, one should know the situation of each guna and their mutual relationship. When the mode of passion is prominent, the modes of goodness and ignorance are defeated. When the mode of goodness is prominent, passion and ignorance are defeated. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, passion and goodness are defeated. This competition is always going on. Therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness has to transcend these three modes. The prominence of some certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealings, in his activities, in eating, etc. All this will be explained in later chapters. But if one wants, he can develop by practice the mode of goodness and defeat the modes of ignorance and passion. One can similarly develop the mode of passion and defeat goodness and ignorance. Or one can develop the mode of ignorance and defeat goodness and passion. This is what we refer to as cultivation. Like we cultivate crops, we grow crops. Like that we can grow sattva. Repeatedly I engage in activities which are sattvic. I spend more and more time in it. Then I'll get a taste for it. Then I will lose the taste for anything related to tamoguna or rajoguna. That will decrease. This taste will increase, that taste will decrease. But same thing, I can practice developing a taste for rajoguna. I can practice developing a taste for tamoguna. Although there are these three modes of material nature, if one is determined, he can be blessed by the mode of goodness, and by transcending the mode of goodness, he can be situated in pure goodness, which is called the Vasudeva state, a state in which one can understand the science of God. So from material goodness, we are supposed to move to spiritual goodness. But material goodness is the best that it comes. Or like we commonly say, if Shuddha Sattva is another country, material sattva, prakrita sattva, material sattva, material model of goodness, that is like the airport from which you can fly to that country. By the manifestation of particular activities, it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. So basically, these are psychological effects on us. We're already psychologically impacted. We cannot deny that. Text 11.
सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाशः उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात् विवृद्धं सत्त्वमुच्यते. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. These verses speak of the characteristics when each of the gunas becomes prominent. When knowledge appears in the form of revealing sense objects, such as sound, as they actually are, through the knowledge gathering senses, such as the ear, then by this characteristic, through knowledge, one should know there is an increase in sattva in the body. The word uta means also. Thus, one should know that there is an increase in sattva also by the appearance of happiness, tranquility.
So here, this happiness is not like the rajasic happiness. Rajasic happiness is excitement. Sattvic happiness is not excitement. It is, in English, we have a word contentment. You're contented. You're satisfied. Trupti. Tranquility is a good word. Shanti, peace. This kind of happiness. Sattva-guna has this right. Rajoguna, ever increasing sensual happiness, emotional happiness. Strictly speaking, foolish sensual happiness. Prabhupada is talking about something called the bodily platform, mental platform, intellectual platform, spiritual platform. The bodily platform is actually tamoguna, simply trying to make a gross body happy. The mental platform or the emotional platform, where you value emotions. You not only want to make your body happy, mind should be satisfied. So in tamoguna also, one may develop the sense of doing good to others. So in tamoguna, paropakar will be to take care of others' body. In rajoguna, paropakar will be to make sure their minds are satisfied. My mind should be happy. Others' mind should also be happy. In sattva-guna, one starts thinking in terms of liberation. To attain liberation, how can I become liberated? How can I help others become liberated? So even in swapakar, paropakar, there's a distinction between the three modes. Of course, then in transcendence, swapakar means I need to come to the point of prema bhakti. And I need to help others come to the point of prema bhakti. That is there. By increase of sattva, there is increase of knowledge or prakash, illumination in the senses or doors of the material body. This is knowledge arising from the senses. Okay. There are 9 gates in the body. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genitals, and the anus. When every gate is illuminated by the symptoms of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, one can hear things in the right position, one can taste things in the right position. One becomes cleansed inside and outside. In every gate, there is development of the symptoms of happiness. That is the position of goodness. So one becomes peaceful. The more he moves towards liberation, the more he becomes peaceful. Because he doesn't want to go towards kama or artha or even dharma. He is interested in moksha. So he has a proper understanding of the material world. He has a proper understanding about the spirit soul. He has a clear understanding of the nature of the material world. Text 12.
Lova pravritti arambha karmanam atma O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. Lobha means the inability to give up one's possession. Pravritti means the tendency to make effort to increase one's possession. Karmanam arambha means to engage in activities such as building one's house. Asama means inability of the senses to give up enjoyment of sense objects. Spurha means longing for objects. By these characteristics, one should know that Rajas has increased.
How do we understand which material mode has increased? Or that Lord Krishna is giving these symptoms. When my inability to give up my possessions increase, when the tendency to make effort to increase my possessions increase, when I engage in activities such as building a house, when the inability of my senses to give up sense enjoyment increases, when my longing for sense objects increase, then I should understand that Rajas is increased in my mind. Those whose Rajas increases, that greed, endeavor, eagerness to act and desire. One in the mode of passion is never satisfied with the position he has already acquired. He hankers to increase his position. If he wants to construct a residential house, he tries his best to have a palatial house. That means a house like a palace. As if he would be able to reside in that house eternally. And he develops a great hankering for sense gratification. There is no end to sense gratification. He always wants to remain with his family and in his house and to continue the process of sense gratification. There is no cessation of this. All these symptoms should be understood as characteristic of the mode of passion. We have all seen people like this. And genuine transcendentalists get sick every time they have to associate with these kinds of people. Because they are absolutely convinced that this is what life is for. It's why we live. So between Sattva and Rajoguna, a lot of incompatibility. Between Rajoguna and Tamoguna also there is incompatibility. Between Sattva and Tamoguna, I don't know how to describe. But I know somebody known to me, an acquaintance, he once said, when we are, even when we take to Krishna consciousness, but we are largely in ignorance, we actually cannot distinguish between Sattva and Tamoguna. Both of them appear to us to be similar. Because in both we don't see Rajoguna. We don't see hard work. So we don't know, is the person tamasic or is the person sattvic? We definitely know he is not Rajasic. The same, the devotee. So one day, many years back, I asked him, what is the Rajoguna? He said, Rajoguna means the endeavor to make your family happy. I asked him, so how exactly does that happen? He said, I'll show you. So one day, he had to buy something for his wife. So he said, Vidwan, come, let's go. I said, where do we go? Go to Calcutta. Just for some shopping. Yeah, good quality. Just, we go to Navadvip, go to Krishnagar. So then you have to go in a car all the way. And go all the way. And then we stopped in our place. And then trying to figure out where to eat, this, that. Hey, why is it? Nemagra. We want to eat prasad of this, that. What is all this? Come on. Prabhupada about this, Prabhupada about that, Prabhupada about this. And he started telling all the things he's heard from Prabhupada, he started telling this. Prabhupada allowed this, on that day they were going, and then Prabhupada allowed this, Prabhupada allowed that. Then, okay, time for shopping, come on, time for shopping. Shopping where? Supermarket. The big mall with so many. I said, why? Yeah, quality, come on, family life, quality. Good. Work hard, strive hard, buy nice things, you give it to your family. Well, that's life with God. Come on. Then the whole day goes in shopping. Shopping, there's so many different options are there. And then you go inside, it takes some 3-4 hours. Then I go to another shopping mall, another one, or some other set of things, some other thing. And then by the time I came back, night. This is called family life. No, this is family life. Proper family life. Has to continue like this for minimum 30 years. So, this is one particular type of family life, I know. I'm not saying that this is how it should be. There are also sattvic, brahmanical, for more peaceful, that also is routine. Even if I know one devotee, like he has a shop, very routinized life. Mangalarti, always Mangalarti happens on time. Darshanarti, evening arti, Tulsi arti, chanting on time. Reads loud from Prabhupada's books for his wife and son. Peaceful time. Pandemic time, Krishna wants it, what can be done? He cannot have a shop open, close the shop, and through subsidiary income, he managed to survive. Peaceful. And I noticed, whenever he even walks by the staircase, he chants meditation without being by vision. I thought, wow, peaceful thing, peaceful thing. So, but Rajoguna is like this. Why is it? It's wild. Okay. Text 13.
प्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च प्रमादो मोह एव च तमस्येतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे कुरु नन्दन. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested.
By lack of knowledge, by enjoyment of things prohibited by scripture, and aversion to prescribed actions, by lack of awareness, such as not noticing something one is holding in one hand, and by absorption in what is false, one should know that tamas has increased. So these are all symptoms of tamoguna. In tamoguna, one doesn't accept a disciplined life, specifically a life disciplined by Vedic authority. Because he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's an ignorant. He doesn't know. Absence of discernment, absence of effort, inattention, and absorption in the false appear with the increase of tamas, or son of the Guru. When there is no illumination, knowledge is absent. One in the mode of ignorance does not work by a regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. This is called delusion. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. These are the symptoms of one in the mode of ignorance. 14, actually 14 and 15 together.
यदा सत्त्वे प्रविद्धे तु प्रलयं याति देहवृत् तदोत्तमविदां लोकान् अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते रजसी प्रलयं गत्वा कर्मसङ्गेषु जायते तथा प्रलीनस्तमसि मूढयोनिषु जायते. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom.
Commentary?
Two verses describe particular results of persons possessing a dominant guna at the time of death. When the jiva, therefore, dies with dominance of sattva, he attains the places of dwelling enjoyment of the worshippers of Hiranyagarbha. and others with only minute quantity of rajas and tamas. Dying with a predominance of rajas, a person is born among men attached to kama karma. Dying with a predominance of tamas, a person is born among animal species or something similar.
One in goodness attains higher planetary systems, like Brahmaloka or Janaloka, and there enjoys godly happiness. There are impurities in the material world, but the mode of goodness is the purest form of existence in the material. Those who die in the mode of goodness are elevated to the planets where great sages and great devotees live. If you look at the word meanings, you see when yada, when sattva, the mode of goodness, pravriddhe too. When the mode of goodness is developed, that means when the mode of goodness is more exalted than the modes of passion and ignorance in one's body and mind. Some people have the impression that when the soul reaches the platform of human life, it never goes down again. This is incorrect. According to this verse, if one develops the mode of ignorance, after his death, he is degraded to an animal form of life. From there, one has to again elevate himself by an evolutionary process to come again to the human form of life. Therefore, those who are actually serious about human life should take to the mode of goodness and in good association transcend the modes and become situated in Krishna consciousness. This is the aim of human life. Otherwise, there is no guarantee that the human being will again attain to the human state. 16.
कर्मणा सुकृत शाहु सात्विकम निर्मलम फलम रजसस्तु फलम दुखम ज्ञानम तमसा फलम. Result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness.
God then describes the various results by actions according to the various gunas. The sages who are knowledgeable of the nature of the gunas say that the result of work in sattva is pure happiness. That means happiness devoid of the results of rajas and tamas, devoid of sorrow, illusion, and impurity. Satvikam means the bliss arising from sattva. The result of actions and the rajas is a little happiness with an abundance of greed. When we talk about these results, now we are actually talking about what is predominant result, because the modes are mixed. Within material existence, you don't actually have pure sattva, pure rajas, pure tamas. This is according to the cause which produces the effect. The results of actions in tamas, such as violent actions, is grief alone, in which one's awareness is almost totally covered by ignorance. By the words rajas and tamas in the words, the activities in rajas and tamas are like. This is similar to the phrase Govi Vinita Matsaram, which though literally meaning pleased with the cows, actually means pleased with the cow's milk. The characteristics of work in the three modes will be described in the 18th chapter, starting with the words Niyatam Sangarahitam Radha Dveshata Kritam 18.23. Prabhupada?
The result of pious activity is mode of goodness, is pure. Therefore, the sages who are free from all illusion are situated in happiness, but activities in the mode of passion are simply miserable. Any activity for material happiness is bound to be defeated. For example, one wants to have a skyscraper. So much human misery has to be undergone before a big skyscraper can be built. The financier has to take much trouble to earn a mass of wealth, and those who are solving the construction, the building have to render physical toil. The misery are there. Thus, Bhagavad Gita says that in any activity performed under the spell of the mode of passion, there is definitely great misery. There may be the little so-called mental happiness. I have this house or this money, but this is not actual happiness. As far as the mode of ignorance is concerned, the performer is without knowledge, and therefore all his activities result in a present misery. And afterwards, he will go on towards animal life. Animal life is always miserable, although under the spell of the illusory energy, Maya. The animals don't understand this. Sheltering for animals is also due to the mode of ignorance. The animal killer don't know
that in the future, the animal will have a body suitable to kill them. That is law of nature in human society. If one kills a man, he has to be hanged. That is the law of state. Because of ignorance, people do not perceive that there is a complete state controlled by Supreme Lord. Every living creature is the son of the Supreme Lord, and he does not tolerate even an ant being killed. One has to pay for it. So, indulgence in animal killing or the taste of the tongue is the greatest, grossest kind of ignorance. A human being has no need to kill animals because God has supplied so many nice things. If one indulges in meat eating anyway, it is to be understood that he is acting in ignorance and is making his future every day. Of all kinds of animal killing, the killing of cows is most vicious because the cow gives us all kind of pleasure by supplying milk. Cow slaughter is an act of the grossest type of ignorance. In the Vedic literature, the Veda, the word Govihi Prinita Mastram indicate that one who, being fully satisfied by milk, is desirous of killing the cow is in the grossest ignorance. There is also a prayer in the Vedic literature that stated, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Gobrahmana Hitaya Jagaditaya Krishna Govindaya Namo Namah. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and Brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of entire human society and world. The purport is Vishnu Purana 1:1965. The purport is that special mention is given in that prayer for the protection of the cows and the Brahmanas. Brahmanas are the symbol of spiritual education, and cows are the symbol of the most valuable food. These two living creatures, the Brahmanas and the cows, must be given all protection. That is real advancement of civilization. In modern human society, spiritual knowledge is neglected and cow killing is encouraged. It is to be understood then that human society is advancing in the wrong direction and is cleansing the path to its own condemnation. A civilization which guides the citizens to become animal in their next life is certainly not a human civilization. The present human civilization is, of course, grossly misled by the mode of passion and ignorance. It is a very dangerous age, and all nations should take care to provide the easiest process, Krishna consciousness, to save humanity from the greatest danger. So in Tamoguna, there is no concern about dharma. In Rajoguna, one has the concern, but just that he is just doing totally desire-based, desire-based. Whereas in Sattva-guna, it is knowledge-based. So they have their respective values, they have their respective priorities. Now it looks like there are more people who are becoming interested in vegetarian food. Veganism is also becoming popular. But you know, when a person with predominance of sattva dies, he attains the planets of the worshippers of Hiranyagarbha Brahma, which gives happiness. He who dies in the mode of Rajas is born in a family of Brahmanas attached to karma. He who dies in the mode of tamas is born in the wombs of the foolish, such as animals. The result of actions in sattva is said to be sattvic purity. The result of actions in rajas is sorrow. The result of actions in tamas is unconsciousness and ignorance. So if you take purity as one result, sorrow as another result, and then unconsciousness as the third result. And even in tamasic activities, you'll notice some amount of sorrow is there, but it's predominantly unconsciousness. In Rajoguna also some unconsciousness is there. It's very little, but it's predominantly sorrow. In Sattva-guna it's predominantly purity. Some amount of sorrow is there, some amount of unconsciousness. Okay, 17.
Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajas roba evacha pramadamo tamaso bhoto jnanam evacha. From the word of goodness, real knowledge develops, From the mode of passion, greed develop, and from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion.
Commentary?
Having described the various results of the gunas are described as causes. From sattva is a born a knowledge characterized by realization of truth. Thus, happiness with an abundance of knowledge is the result of activities in sattva. From rajas comes greed, a particular craving which cannot be satisfied by indulging in millions of sense objects, because that is a cause of sorrow. The result is a little happiness with plenty of grief from doing those activities. From tamas arise inattention, illusion, and ignorance. The result of doing such activities is sorrow with almost total unconsciousness.
Rajoguna, even if one gives sense objects, never satisfied, because it is greed. The result of that is greed, and greed by very definition is you want unlimited amounts of it. No matter what you get, it's not enough. Money, limited money. Woman, unlimited woman. Everything unlimited, unlimited. Nothing is satisfied. Even in the Karmakanda process, simply, they experience something, then they want more, then they want more, then they want more. Because it's based on Rajoguna. Sattoguna at least get some knowledge, get some understanding. This is the nature of this world. There is a special happiness in knowledge. There seems to be some kind of special happiness in ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. And then there are those who, despite the knowledge, they want to achieve what they want. Because, which means there's no reason. They want. Knowledge arises from sattva, greed arises from rajas, inattention, confusion, and ignorance arise from tamas. Since the present civilization is not very congenial to the living entities, Krishna consciousness was recommended. Through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In the mode of ignorance, people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. In the mode of ignorance, for example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they're taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. Because people have no education and actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. When they're actually educated in the mode of goodness, they'll become sober, in full knowledge of things as they are. Then people will be happy and prosperous. Even if the majority of the people aren't happy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is a possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. Otherwise, if the world is devoted to the modes of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace or prosperity. In the mode of passion, people become greedy, and the hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that even if one has enough money and adequate arrangement for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. Even from Bhagavatam, we have Hiranyakashipu. No matter how much they acquire, they are dissatisfied. Even if they follow Vedic Dharma, still dissatisfied. So from this, we understand that when we are in Rajoguna, we are engaging in Rajasic activities. Even inside Vedic Dharma, we will be dissatisfied. Even then, we will be dissatisfied. That is because Rajoguna gives you dissatisfaction. What you can do, if you engage in everything related to Rajoguna, you will be dissatisfied. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad. Being distressed by their circumstances, they take shelter of intoxication, and thus they sink further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark. In India nowadays, amongst the non-devotees, it looks like drinking wine and things like that is like drinking some Coca-Cola. Normal. The girls have started to drink, so wine sales have boomed. So India is very happy. that it can get a lot of tax from all these bars and all. Very dangerous. Their future in life is very dark. The people are, even the leaders of society are really puzzled. Really puzzled. They don't know how to solve these problems. There are some people who genuinely want to solve these problems. They may know nothing about Krishna consciousness or spirituality, but they genuinely feel that because it's all getting too much. It was always too much, but now they're beginning to understand it is actually too much. Text 18.
Urdhvam gacchati santvastha madhitishtanti rajasaha jaghanya guna vrittistha adho gachanti tamasaha. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planes. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of goodness go down to the hellish worlds. Now the results for those fixed in the various modes in terms of higher, middle, and lower destinations are described. The word vritti, conduct, mentioned in relation to those in tamas should be understood in connection with the other two modes. Those fixed this conduct in sattva go as far as satyaloka, according to the amount of sattva. Those fixed in conduct of rajas stay in the middle of the universe in the human world with a mixture of sin and piety. They take on various human forms according to the amount of rajas. Those situated in conduct of tamas, inferior to the other two modes, continually fixed in conduct of inattention and other such qualities, attain birth as animals, birds, and non-moving entities according to the amount of tamas. The word tamasa indicates that they are situated constantly in tamaguna. People situated in the higher gunas may sometimes show tamaguna, but do not attain birth as animals because the tamas is not constant.
The idea is that previously also some destination was described. We saw to go to the planet of the pyramid text 14. But that was about those in whose body Satoguna is predominant. Here, those who are fixed in that mode, constant, that is their basis. Top of it, they may go up and down, but that is their basis. So those who are fixed in Satoguna, they go upward to the higher planet. Those who are fixed in Rajoguna, they live on the earthly planet. Those who are fixed in Tamoguna, they go down. So this explains also various combinations. Somebody may be cultivating the mode of goodness. Somebody else may be cultivating the mode of passion. Somebody else may be cultivating the mode of ignorance. But while cultivating the mode of ignorance, he may do something sattvic. Okay. Still, he will go to animal species because that's his constant. That is his base. Okay. Those situated in Sattva go to higher planets such as Satyaloka. Those in Rajas remain in the world of humans, and those of the lowest one of tamas go downwards to hell. Can you read out Prabhupada?
In this verse, the results of actions in the three modes of nature are more explicitly set forth. There is an upper planetary system consisting of the heavenly planets, where everyone is highly elevated. According to the degree of development of the mode of goodness, the living entity can be transferred to various planets in this system. The highest planet is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where the prime person of this universe, Lord Brahma, resides. We have seen already that we can hardly calculate the wondrous condition of life in Brahmaloka, but the highest condition of life, the mode of goodness, can bring us to this. The mode of passion is mixed. It is in the middle between the modes of goodness and ignorance. A person is not always pure, but even if he should be purely in the mode of passion, he will simply remain on this earth as a king or a rich man. But because there are mixtures, one can also go down. People on this earth in the mode of passion or ignorance cannot forcibly approach the higher planets by a machine. In the mode of passion, there is also the chance of becoming mad in the next life. The lowest quality, the mode of ignorance, is described here as abominable. The result of developing ignorance is very, very risky. It is the lowest quality in material nature. Beneath the human level, there are 8 million species of life, birds, beasts, reptiles, trees, etc. And according to the development of the mode of ignorance, people are brought down to these abominable conditions. The word tamasaha is very significant here. Tamasaha indicates those who stay continuously in the mode of ignorance without rising to a higher mode. Their future is very dark. There is an opportunity for men in the modes of ignorance and passion to be elevated to the mode of goodness, and that system is called Krishna consciousness. But one who does not take advantage of this opportunity will certainly continue in the lower modes.
So we can choose to increase or we can choose to decrease. Ramanujacharya uses this expression, increase the gunas in the body or decrease the gunas in the body. And specifically that comes because of food. It's through food that one primarily gives gunas. And of course other activities, but food is a very important activity. Okay, let's stop with that.